In this year's field trip in Media and Communications, we have the chance to visit those successful organizations in both Melbourne and Sydney. By talking with professionals, we can finally understand the major issue happen in real media world and how different kinds of organizations operate to run their business. I'd like to share what I've learned in this unit and the main issues making me rethink the media industry in Australia. Melbourne Writers' Festival is our first station of the field trip. We took part in one session named Me and Melbourne, a drama show about the situation and life of studying in Melbourne, which was performed by international students, made me think about my study experiences and same issues that have happened on me. Common issues like legal working hours, expensive tuition fees, and cultural shock had been presented and discussed. Rajesh Savanandasa, who was also an international student and is currently working in Melbourne, shared his experience and his opinions on his life in Melbourne. Education is now a huge industry in Australia. It's good to see people caring about international students and making these common issues being presented in Melbourne Writers' Festival. We've also been audiences of 9 News, which is broadcasted on Channel 9, 6 to 7 every weekday nights. There are 3 anchors in the live show responsible for news, sports journalism, and weather forecast. There will be 4 cameras and cue scripts shooting at the same time, 3 commercial advertising times during a bulletin. The headline should be recorded first. After the live news was over, we had a short conversation with Peter Hitchner. He said he's always willing to talk with young people and had shared his experiences being an anchor. What is interesting is that he told us a lot of presenters are now freelancers, but 9 News still had their full-time presenters. The project kinda had the same recording model as 9 News, but the atmosphere is really different. The project seems to be more relaxed and entertaining, just as their slogan, News Delivered Differently. 4 anchors interact a lot while presenting news. However, there would always be some solid news during the bulletin, which requires the anchor to be serious in a few seconds, even when everybody was laughing a moment ago. Q&A is a discussion program of ABC, hosted by news journalist Tony Jones. It is a pleasure for all of us to be a part of audiences in live broadcast, hearing opinions from professionals and representatives on the topic about rape, racism, and no platforming. Tony Jones is a professional host who is always capable to control timing and discussion in the live scene. However, the question people raised was actually selected by the editors and producers. This makes me rethink the freedom in media environment. Although Q&A is a platform for people raising questions, the questions are actually being selected by media authorities. There are still restrictions in this free atmosphere. We also have the chance to watch a live radio bulletin of Triple J Hack presented by Tom Tilley. Compared with TV, radio is more flexible. Tom could better control content by himself, which also requires better presenting skills. Unlike other corporations mentioned before, Fairfax Media focuses more on traditional media, especially print media. Lisa Davis, editor of the Sydney Morning Hero, said Fairfax is now moving towards digital and own 5 million readers a month combined print and digital platforms. As she said, nowadays only a percentage of audiences pay attention to the news. Most engaged topics are education, public health, and crime. News Corp is originally an American multinational media corporation. News Corp Australia, one of the largest Australian media company, has a really solid environment with printed newspaper everywhere and people working intensely. Just like all the other media corporations, the print media part is losing readers and advertising revenue. Digital production is essential. Many editors share their opinions towards digital news. There are 3.3 million readers total on both print and internet platforms. The internet group has got more than 100,000 subscriptions. Tradition in a modern way is the first thing I write down on my note when I see Southern Cross Austereo. Humorous source manager Arthur Giorgio and Rebecca Auckland have introduced some positions and daily work. For example, the promotion position is usually between sales and content. They first made a brief, which concludes budget, times, ideas, and purpose. And then there will be a conference for renewing plans and detailed discussion, and finally presented to the client. For the content director, which needs to work with different teams, so lots of experiences are required. Belinda Dorwis, the sales manager, said targeting audience is always essential. What they do is focus on music labels and new music trend. The percentage of new music they pushed is different from format to format, usually 50% to 25%. Plans could change rapidly in sales team. The operation manager Sarah Potts lists the attention to details as the top important skill in radio industry. Communication skills, self-regulation, high energy and passion are also important. ABC also focuses on Radio National, and the science part is very mature. People over 40 consume a lot on talk radio. The challenge of Radio National is also the age limit of audiences and how to reach young people through various platforms and storytelling skills. ABC is a public broadcasting service in Australia with its headquarters based in Ultimo, Sydney. Modeled on BBC, ABC provides television, radio, online and mobile services, but with journalistic independence. Steve Canaan, a reporter in ABC Investigation Unit, talked about working in journalism industry. As he said, ABC now have focused on online and human connection, and it's important to present your story in an interesting way. For example, cap it with a good headline or telling it in an entertaining way. Steve also mentioned ABC receives email from staff and people involved in specific news topics to get good news ideas, sometimes from radio platforms and Twitter as well. New South Wales Health is a government institution, has always been focusing on public health communication. John Wimberg and Belinda Duckworth has mainly told us about the differences between social marketing and commercial marketing. Social marketing is mainly about the awareness and behavior change of audiences. They need to do the market research first, then targeting audiences, and finally place their promotion towards public. However, the main issue for social marketing is the measurement of a successful one. What New South Wales Health did is cooperating with Sydney University using qualitative and quantitative behavior models to see the influence of their work. Essential Media has a good awareness of using new media. Just like New South Wales Health, Essential Media has worked a lot on online campaign. Peter Lawes told us that distribution has been decentralized. Information and social change are not the words only for public service broadcasting. This means for organizations, they have to sell their newsworthy story in an interesting way to build a trust market, and then get people involved to reach their information, then build their own audiences to make them move in campaigns. John Butt, Head of Business and Legal Affairs, gave us a speech on Animal Shine Australia. Australia version of MasterChef is the representative of a successful localization for TV formatting and a pride for Animal Shine Australia. As an independent firm, Animal Shine is more a creative, right-based business, which mainly doing local and overseas production and sharing formats all around the world. Their clients include Network 10, 9 Network, 7 Network, Foxtel, ABC, SBS, and also they are recently entering streaming services like Netflix. The studio is a quite energetic firm. They have also emphasis a lot on creative content and approaches. Andy Neal, an independent TV producer, said traditional media don't engage with youth a lot. 85% of their audiences are those who age from 20 to 35, so they try to be in touch with contemporary culture and young leaders to push forward to revolute the existing structure. Andy also mentioned media is always audience-focused. However, most of the media workers are middle class, which could make a cultural bubble and could not reach all the audiences. Screen Australia's business is usually about production, helping other corporations, festivals and awards, research and internet, and also co-production. Patrick May, a manager in Screen Australia, mentioned the unbalanced gender issue in workers of screen industry. Male seems to engage more than female. BuzzFeed Cine is a trending social media platform which is popular among young generations. Their largest audience group is female aged around 35. The Australian team focuses on video production. To make people not only click on their content but also stand on it, they're always trying to be entertaining and eye-catching. Social media platform is their core competitiveness. Marnie Cordell said people like to be leaded up, but they didn't mention a lot about the social media strategies. They are recently moving into news because news brings credibility, but for the reason of centralization and government control, it's hard to reach unlocal investigating journalism. They also mentioned the local content crisis. Australian news need to figure out its own way to reach local audiences, or it's like being led by the United States. Junkie Media has the similar editorial model with BuzzFeed and also try hard in storytelling to reach high click rate. Junkie don't compete in breaking news. They are more entertaining, pop culture based. Their problem may be the balance between serious journal and humorous. Junkie is outraged and angry. People may somehow feel tired of it. Rob Scott, the managing editor, said they are trying to focus on more positive angles in the story and make tiny little twists to make things less hopeless.